Well, hello. Welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger. The date is September 6th, 2020. It's the middle of the long weekend, and I hope everyone is having lots of fun. Meanwhile, staying safe and staying responsible. A while ago, a good friend of mine made a remark. He said, Johnny, I envy you because you are one of the few people I know in this world that have not changed much, if at all, for all this past 20 odd, almost 30 years I've known you. You seem to have a timeless quality that you don't feel that you need to change. In many ways, he was right. I have been very fortunate, but in some way, it is a lot to do with how I am a very stubborn, very dedicated, very determined kind of personality as well. When I look at myself, when I was in high school, I performed in martial art, I performed music, I uh, worked, I went to school, I went to the gym, I collected knives, swords, and action figures, and I read a lot of books. Fast forward 20 odd years, I'm still basically that guy. I still am dedicated to my martial arts. I still play music. I still write poetries and songs. I still collect action figures. And I still work out. Perhaps the only thing that is different is now I don't need to go to school. However, at the same time, there have been changes. Changes that cannot be reversed that took place. Those who don't know me very well probably would not recognize me as the person I once was. So today I want to talk a little bit about what changed in me. First and foremost was my attitude toward money. As some of you that watched the Night Strike documentary and been following my stories and progress would know, when I was little, I grew up in a very, very rich family. I mean, when I talk about rich here, I'm not even just talking about steak dinner, lobster dinner, or something so trivial. Back then, uh, I grew up in a kind of environment that I had chauffeur drive me to school. I had chauffeur pick me up from school. I had housemaid and nanny and a lot of people to my beck and call as a child. This resulted in that for the most early part of my life, childhood, teenage years, young adulthood, I had a distinct lack of care when it came to money. I used to save my allowances. I remember back then I would get about $1,000 Taiwanese a week from my parents. That did not include lunch money or other expenses. So, for example, I got my allowances, but if I wanted a new PlayStation, or well, there wasn't PlayStation back then, it was Super Nintendo. If I wanted a new Super Nintendo, I didn't need to spend my own money. I just went to my mom, told her I needed the new Super Nintendo. I would get one. So I used to save my allowances. Every week, I would put it in the piggy bank. And at the end of the year, over $12,000 in Taiwanese. So that would be like let's see, about uh, $600 uh, American back then, maybe a little bit more, uh, somewhere around that. So $12,000 Taiwanese, a fortune even for a lot of adults. I would take the whole piggy bank and donate it to the Red Cross or the Salvation Army. I didn't feel there was anything wrong with it. I felt I was doing good. After all, I didn't need this money. I didn't need to spend my own money. What good is keeping money there? Might as well donate it and make me into a well, good kid. And back then I was thinking about good guy. Fast forward 15 years. During a self-defense seminar, while my sensei was explaining how to deal with a robbery to the attending student, and I was his demonstrating partner, my sensei said to the crowd, "Now look at someone like Johnny. If Johnny was coming up to me and holding a gun to my head and demanding for my wallet, and even if I have $1,000 in my wallet, I would just hand it over because you know what? That $1,000 is not worth fighting for or getting hurt over." I don't know what possessed me, but this just came out of my mouth. I said, "Sensei, $1,000 to you may not be worth fighting over, but $1,000 for me, heck, I would sell you my mom." Well, we got some good laugh out of that one, but that was no mere exaggeration or cheek on my part. As I grew older and had to make my own money, I came to realize how in this world you simply have a hard time getting anywhere, getting anything done without money. I have experienced starvation, I've experienced homelessness, I've experienced being without money, and I don't relish the idea of repeating any of those experiences ever again. The next thing that changed about me was my attitude toward women. You know, I hear a lot of people say that chivalry is dead. There's no more chivalrous guys out there. That the only guys that are good guys and chivalrous guys are either married or they're gay. Sometimes it makes me feel so sad to hear that because you know what? Once upon a time, when I was a teenager, when I was a young adult, I was that chivalrous guy. I was that guy who, to me, every woman was sacred. I would stand in the rain and getting cold and wet and sick just to give my jacket to a woman that I didn't know. I actually did that. I would give my entire lunch money to a female classmate, going without food myself, even though she was nothing to me. I was the guy who would give homeless women money. I was the guy who would stand up when women entered the room. I was the guy who was every woman's best friend. But you know what? I was also that guy who almost never got noticed in a romantic way. Sure, I was their best friend. I was their favorite person. I was that guy who they would come and cry to when they had problem with their boyfriend. I was the guy they would come to when they had money issues. I was the guy they would come to when they had issues with family or work or school. I was their favorite person, but I was that person who somehow none of them saw good enough to be their romantic interest. Gradually, as time went by, I became that other guy. I became the guy who totally comfortable with cracking joke around women. I became the guy who is totally at ease with being myself around women. I no longer stand up when I enter the room. I don't treat them like anything special. Now I treat women like they are just human beings. Just like me, just like you, just like men, women, children. I do not give them any special preferences or special deference. And guess what? For the last 15, 20 years, I had way more, let's just say, action than when I was trying to be that chivalrous, nice, gentlemanly, wonderful best friend. Also changed was my idea of my self-importance. When I was in my teenage years, when I was a young adult, I was extremely selfless. Let me just give you an example. I remember this one time, this friend came over 10 o'clock in the evening. It was November. Here in British Columbia, November. Really cold, really wet out there. My friend said, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" I said, "Sure." I was 19 years old, and this friend said, "I have a really hot date tonight, but I don't have money to go to the hotel or go anywhere with her. Can we just like make out in your place?" I said, "Okay, sure, whatever." And he said, "Well, see, here's the thing. Uh, I am kind of embarrassed, and she's embarrassed, so can you not be home?" And guess what? They spent the next 4 hours making out and doing things in my living room while I walked up and down the block in the rain, in the cold, just waiting for him to call me on the cell phone so I could come home. Did he know that's what I was doing? No. I told him I had somewhere to go, that just make yourself at home. It's okay. I don't mind. I was totally selfless and totally stupid. Fast forward 15 years. It was another rainy night, another cold night, another late night, and another friend called me on the phone and he said, "Look, hey, I just had a fight with my wife and I need somewhere to go. Do you mind if I stay at your place for the next month or two and until we get things worked out?" Without missing a beat, I said, "Look, dude, if I have to, I can lend you the money. Mind you, I'm lending you the money to put you up in the hotel, and you can pay me back whenever. But no, You're not staying at my place because I really value my privacy over here. And why the change? Because I came to realize that no one in this world deserves more happiness, more consideration than me. None of them deserve less, but none of them deserve more. I am just as good as the next person, and there's no reason why I should suffer or be sacrificed, or my happiness, or my time, or my property should be sacrificed just to make someone else happy. No, never again. What else has changed about me? Oh, yeah, another thing that changed about me was my sense of humor. I've always been told I have a great sense of humor, but when I was young adult, when I was a teenager, I was extremely reserved. I was humorous, but you would never catch me cracking a joke in a serious conversation. You would never catch me cracking a joke in a group. I was always the serious one, the stoic one, that had a great sense of humor, but very, very serious nonetheless. What changed me was this one friend I had for a while. He actually turned out to be quite a piece of work, not in a good way. Uh, he actually still owed me $500, but I don't think I'll ever get that back. But it's okay, whatever, let it pass. But this friend taught me something very valuable. He was basically a bum. He was the person. He was a leech. This friend was basically no good. He would latch onto a person and hang out around them and just to reap a lot of benefit, borrow money, get a room to sleep, or borrow things uh, and steal and stuff like that. But one thing I learned from this, we'll just say friend, although I don't consider him a friend anymore. One thing I learned from this friend was how he was so successful in making people dance to his tune because he was extremely charming. So I asked myself, how did he become so charming? What did he do? How can I learn from that? And one thing I learned was he was very relaxed. He was good at cracking the right joke at the right time with the right intonation, with the right expression. And he was quick to make people laugh. And I realized then and there, making people laugh is sometimes your best tool in getting somewhere in this society, especially when making friends or building new connection. Because the minute you make someone laugh, you make that person feel good. And when you make them feel good, they want to feel good again. And if they want to feel good again, they want to hang out with you more. Last but not least, my temperament. Oh boy. A while ago, I had a friend who mentioned that she said, uh, Johnny, I can't imagine you ever getting angry or violent. You're such a nice guy. Even my mother often remarks, she said, you are so different. Now it's like nothing in the world bothers you. I remember how you used to be. Oh boy, the kind of person you used to be was crazy. And indeed, when I was younger, even when I was a little child, I had a temperament like my father. My father had the kind of temperament that basically had no filters. The kind of temperament that if you annoy him slightly, he has to throw things, break things, and hit people. That was the kind of person I was when I was little and when I was a teenager, and all the way up to when I was maybe in my early 20s. I was basically a good person, But if you gave me cause to be offended, then I went into ultra violent mode immediately. I was like a dynamite. I was not compromising, I was not forgiving. I took everything to heart, I took everything seriously, and a little bit of a slight or a little bit of insinuation to demean or degrade my honor, that was it. That was it. I would literally fly off the handle at the slightest provocation. That probably contributed to 90% of the fight I ever gotten myself into in those early days. But as years went by, I realized something very valuable, that letting the anger out uncontrollably without filter often cost me more than it cost the other person. It cost me time and money to make reparation to what I did to that person or to properties. It cost me emotional pain because I would feel guilty or feel bad afterward. In the end, it simply wasn't worth it. So I started to train myself to dampen my angry emotion whenever I feel that red haze settling over my brain, just behind my eyes, and I just have to tear someone apart. I stop. I literally put the brake on in my brain, and I ask myself, hey, hey, hold on. Hey, hey, bro, cool it a second. Okay, let's sit down. This is my conversation with myself. Let's sit down and have a talk. Why are you so angry? And of course, the other side would, well, because that person just did blah, 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 blah. And then the reasonable part of me would then proceed to counsel the other side. Well, hey, look at it this way, right? It probably wasn't intentional. And even if it was, all you're doing is playing into their hand. And come on, it's a nice day. The air is fresh. We don't need this, okay? Just let it go. Just let it go, let it go. And that would be the mantra I repeat in my head. Let it go, let it go, let it go. And gradually, I did learn to let it go. On those occasions where I really couldn't let it go, my reasonable self learned to bring up the next point. Hey, remember that person, what they did for you the other day? That was so nice, wasn't it? Remember appreciation. Appreciate the fact that they're still here to piss you off. Appreciate the fact they're still in your life enough to annoy you. Appreciate the fact you are still alive enough to be angry. Feel appreciation. Feel appreciation. Be grateful. And I wouldn't say it works all the time, but I would say 99, 98% of the time that help let the anger fade out of me, and I can go through my day thinking that the world is really not that bad of a place. A while ago, a good friend made a remark. He said, Johnny, I'm disappointed in you. You used to be such a nice guy. You used to buy super expensive gifts for your friends. You used to be so selfless and self-sacrificing for your friend. Now you're self-centered and everything is about you, you, you. What happened to you? It's almost like you were defeated by the passage of time. And I said to him, defeated by the passage of time? No, man. I grew up. Thank you for checking out today's Soul Search Sunday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Music Monday. Remember, enjoy your long weekend and be safe out there. For now, have a good night.